Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. They are offering a new service to keep varmints and bugs out of your home, as well as protect your home from water intrusion and humidity in crawl spaces. You know how humid it gets in East Tennessee. It can do damage to your home if it gets into your home through those crawl spaces. Ask them about their crawl space encapsulation plans. It's better for your home in so many ways, one of which would be who would want to go into the basement on the left. The one on the right looks pretty good. That crawl space is pretty good thanks to Southeast Termite and Pest Control. They can tell you a lot more about this service than I can in a quick on-air blurb. Get in touch with them this week, southeasttermite.com, to learn more about their crawl space encapsulation services. Another great offer from a terrific local company. All right, let's take a look at Tennessee's 2022 commits so far. They're now up to 4. Woohoo! You got a 4-star in the quarterback from Indiana, and then 3 3-stars, including a tight end who committed yesterday, Brody Foley from the Cincinnati area. Ryan, of course, covers recruiting for GoVols247.com. Josh covers it for WNML. Your thoughts on the class so far, and we can start with the tight end they just grabbed.
Yeah, I like the pickup of Brody Foley. I think this is kind of a sneaky, nice pickup because it's a Midwest tight end that didn't have a lot of big offers, but Auburn just offered him less than 2 weeks ago. And physically, with his skill set, seems like very much what this staff wants at tight end. 6'6", 235 pounds, pretty athletic. Basketball player too, can go up and get it across the middle. So he fits with a lot of guys they were recruiting at that position. So I think a nice pickup, even though he's not got a lot of star power right now, will end up being a good player for Tennessee in this class. And overall, especially Taven Jackson, it's hard to overestimate the importance of getting a 4-star quarterback this early, a guy who's still never been to Tennessee's campus for a recruiting visit. To do that during this dead period, I think is pretty impressive. So it was a slow building start for this staff, but once they got things going last month, nice momentum so far, 4 commitments in less than a month.
And last month we put up a graphic that showed how it's not just Tennessee that got off to a slow start this year, and part of that is the dead period that we'll talk about a little in the next segment. But I know there were a lot of people, including myself, who were looking at it saying, gosh, this is all you've got? But when you step back and look across the country, as of a couple of weeks ago, there were still some Power 5 schools that didn't have any commitments at this point. Yep. So I'm not trying to give a complete excuse for this staff, but considering where they were, you can put some of that on the fact you had this dead period that they were slow and a lot of other people were slow to start building. Josh, your thoughts on what you see so far from this class that they're starting to put together?
Yeah, I think it tied in. You trust the evaluation of the coaching staff. Having Taven Jackson will help. When you look at in-state recruiting for Tennessee, that it's a big class this year. I think early on we received reminders from Ty Simpson when he committed to Alabama, Jordan James when he committed to Georgia, Walter Nolan when he didn't have Tennessee in his top 8. It's going to take some time with some of these guys. Now you have a number of talented guys, particularly on the offensive side, that they haven't committed elsewhere either. So you still have time to try to build those relationships, but that's what it's going to take. And you hope that maybe you can get on the field, show them something to swing some guys back on your side, because I think they have to do that with a lot of players, either make up ground or pull off an upset as it stands today.
Well, let's talk about it. How are they doing, Ryan? They got 14, according to 247.com, there are 247sports.com, there are 14 players who are 4-star or better inside the state of Tennessee. How many of those does Tennessee still even have a shot with, in your opinion?
A good number of them. I would say more than half. Now, how many of them are they in the lead for right now? It's a pretty small number. So I think they've got to continue to chip away at some of these relationships that they're, again, still getting to know a lot of these guys pretty well. A previous staff that recruited them 2 years, that's all out the window now. You had a staff that hasn't met these guys in person, and that's been a challenge. So, again, we'll talk about the dead period more, but that's part of what they're facing and still fighting an uphill battle a little bit. And Tennessee, obviously the NCAA stuff, I think it carries a little more weight in-state because in-state players are more familiar with Tennessee's situation than out-of-state players. They know the challenges Tennessee faces right now. That's working against them a little bit too. So add it all together, it's an uphill battle with some guys, but they're still going to get their share of in-state players, I think.
Well, it's another piece of bad luck which seems to hover over this program against the volunteer triangle. There's that little part of town over there on the campus that planes fly in, their compasses stop working, and they disappear. You look at everything that could go wrong, you have the best class in-state that you've had in years and years and years, maybe ever, and that's the year you're facing NCAA issues and you change your coaches out, and there's a dead period that won't let them meet. it's biblical in terms of, it's Shakespearean in terms of its tragedy.
Yeah, well, fans are probably tired of hearing about that too, right? But I also imagine the coaches are tired of having to deal with it on the recruiting trail, because that's just an everyday thing right now, and it's not going away immediately either.
Well, the good news is for Tennessee coaches who don't like dealing with it, most of them just last 3 or 4 years anyway, and then they're off somewhere else, so they don't have to deal with it long.
Mr. Positivity.
Yes.
For the in-state class, there are still several 4-stars out there Tennessee can get. I think it all kind of circles back to one guy, though, at the end of the day. You missed on Ty Simpson, Walter Nolan, probably all those guys. At the end of the day, if you can't get Dallin Hayden, 4-star running back who's the son of Aaron Hayden, former Vols running back, of course, can't get a guy like that, that's going to speak volumes to a lot of fans. Ohio State leads right now, but Tennessee is still in it.
It's very difficult to go head-to-head with Ohio State.
It is, but legacy, fans expect you to get him.
Yeah. All right. When we come back, let's talk about the buzz, if there is any, the early returns, what recruitniks around the country are saying about Heupel and his staff, not Pruitt. We know what they're saying about Pruitt. He pays well. We'll talk about what they're saying about Heupel and his staff next on the Sports Source. Going back.